You guys ready to start?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
All right. As usual, find us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, at the Starters 690. I also want you to know that this podcast is officially sponsored by Club CDL. Club CDL is the best sports club in Montreal. It has 13 indoor tennis courts, both clay and hard. It has 6 outdoor clay tennis courts. It has squash courts. It has pickleball courts. It has a 2-story gym. It has a restaurant, an outdoor pool, an indoor soccer field, just on and on. And their memberships are now 25% off for the month of September. So if you want to join the amazing CDL community, check them out at clubcdl.com. All right, question number 1, boys. Brought to you by Club CDL. First, Canada picked up a 100-89 victory over Slovenia this morning at the FIBA Men's Basketball World Cup. They will now face Serbia on Friday in the semifinals. They already clinched their spot at the next Olympics. So, gentlemen, I just want to know, what really happened? Can Canada win it all? Simon, you go first.
Well, I'm just fuming that I shouldn't be fuming because Canada's in a semifinal match, but the 4:45 starts when I'm already getting up, because I get up around 4:30, 4:45, and I'm hosting the morning show, so I'm gonna be like, I don't want anybody to hear this, but I'm gonna be like refreshing a score as I'm driving down Highway 13 at 4:45 in the morning, which is not ideal. Look, yes, they can win it because last year was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's coming out party. He was first team All-NBA, but still his team never played on prime time. So if you knew about him, you had to be part of that basketball community, or you had to be somebody who focused in on TSN, the Sports Center and the highlights, because his team just wasn't getting the press. And he is, I think, now that Luka's out, he's the best player in this tournament. And kind of what you see every once in a while when you watch March Madness, there is one player, whether it's Steph Curry or JJ Redick or whoever it may be, that just simply becomes the best player in that tournament, and it becomes very difficult to stop. Look, I don't know enough about the Serbian team. I know a lot about the American team. I just don't know about that Serbian team. It seems like Shai is getting to his spot whenever he wants. He's a throwback. He has been killing the mid-range jump shot for years now in the NBA, and in this tournament, he's extended it a little bit to that outside shooting. He's the best player in this tournament. In a 40-minute match, that might be enough.
I'm going to answer this question with it's been a great story. However, can they do it and will they do it are two different questions. I think, can they do it? They could do it. Will they do it? Unlikely. The best 4 teams are left. These are the 4 best teams in the tournament. Germany, the U.S., their sole loss was pretty much in a meaningless game for Lithuania. Serbia's been in, I think, 3 semifinals in the last 4 tournaments, including a final. So I think, yeah, Canada can do it. And I love their game, especially if you've watched any of these tournament games. Much more physical basketball than in the NBA. Doncic getting kicked out of the game is one example of it. I think what you're going to see is the possibility of Canada doing it. Will they do it? I think it's going to be tough sledding because the USA is still the USA. They still have the deepest roster. Serbia is the real deal. And Germany hasn't lost a game. So, that's a murderer's row. That's a 1, 2, 3. I'm hoping Canada does it. What they've already done for Canada basketball is more than any other team has ever done. I hope they get it done. We'll see. I think, though, the odds are stacked against them.
Fair enough. At least it's been a fun tournament, and as you said, more success than we've seen in recent years. All right, question number 2. Let's move on to brought to you by Station Pizza Moderne. It's at 5393 Boulevard Gouin West. Follow them at Station Pizza Moderne on Instagram. Their food is awesome, and they just have a great restaurant for parties or events. So question number 2, boys. NFL season begins tomorrow on Thursday night as the Chiefs host the Detroit Lions. That's the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. To you, gentlemen, we haven't seen back-to-back Super Bowl champions since Super Bowl 38 and 39 back in 04 and 05 when the Patriots pulled it off. So are we going to see it again this year, or will it be a different champion? So my question, I want to know which 2 teams you see meeting in Super Bowl 58. George?
Look, people are forgetting that the Kansas City Chiefs beat a depleted Cincinnati Bengals team last year in the semifinals. The Bengals were missing both their starting corners. Their defensive ends were banged up. Their defensive tackle, Pro Bowl defensive tackle, was hurt. The Bengals are the real deal. And I'm not going to say that because I'm a Bengals fan. I'm going to say that because if you look at the last 3 years, they're one of the best teams out there. And I really do believe this is their year. So I'm going to say the Bengals are going to be in the Super Bowl. In the NFC, it's pretty wide open. But I think the worst quarterback in the last 3 years, starting quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo's got to be in the top 3, right? And somehow Kyle Shanahan brought the 49ers to a Super Bowl. Given now that he's got Christian McCaffrey and a bunch of Pro Bowlers virtually everywhere and probably one of the top defenses in the NFL, it's tough to go against the 49ers and what Kyle Shanahan can do. So I'm going to go classic. It would be a third-time matchup. Cincinnati Bengals, San Francisco 49ers, take 3.
Who won the first two?
Not important. We're not going to talk about that.
Listen, we're just coming off the news that they signed Bosa as well, so maybe that might have lingered and carried over, and how that affects a locker room, we never know. But the fact that he got his deal done with the Niners only adds weapons right across the board. I think, look, there's going to be a question mark a little bit with San Francisco when it comes to their starting quarterback, just because, whether it was Jimmy G getting hurt, or was Trey Lance getting hurt, or was Brock Purdy getting hurt. I don't know if it's the offense that they run, or sometimes their O-line isn't playing at an elite level. Staying healthy at the quarterback position has been an issue for the 49ers. But other than that, I still think the Eagles are a quality football team, but I will take the Niners out of the NFC. But I'll go with the AFC. Look, I'm just going to buy everything the New York Jets are selling this offseason. I think when you go to running back position, they have a 1-2. You go to a wide receiver. I think they have one in an elite one. They have, the guys that fill in after that are kind of Aaron Rodgers guys. I didn't watch the Jets play tons of football last year. Watch them in their nationally televised games and all that. Seems like they have a good defense. We'll see what happens with Robert Saleh when push comes to shove and he's expected to win this year, how the coaching works for him. But I'm just looking at that Jets team that was an okay team last year, had a pretty good record for the first 10, 11 games of the season, and they got probably the worst quarterback production you can possibly imagine from an NFL quarterback, and they survived. And now the upgrade they didn't upgrade to a Jimmy G. They didn't upgrade to a Ryan Tannehill, like somebody you just want to get in there for a stopgap. They upgraded to a guy that has won the MVP trophy 2 of the last 3 years. I've watched them play a lot of football. The drop-off last year, I don't think that was the reality. I think there's a lot of football left with Aaron Rodgers. They've got a tough schedule to open up the season. If they can survive that, I think they can get in. So I think I think it'll be the Jets and the San Francisco 49ers, who I don't think I've ever played in a Super Bowl. But when it comes to the AFC,
a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good teams.
Bengals, Chiefs. How shocked would you be if it was the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, the Jets? If Tua
the Chargers are a good football team. Yeah, there's a bunch. I agree with that.
There's going to be 1 or 2 very good football teams in the AFC that do not make postseason. But I've been a sucker a little bit for everything the Jets have done this year. So I'll go Jets and Niners.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, let's move over to hockey, boys. This one. Well, that's what I was going to say. No love for the Ravens, but you kind of mentioned them in your sliding team scales, so I like it. I like it. I'll give you some points there, Simon. Question 3 brought to you by EA Fitness. Simon, you want to tell us a little bit more about EA Fitness? You can tell they do good work just by your physique right now.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. EA Fitness is on Sampson Boulevard in Chamonix in the corner of 92nd. It is not your traditional gym. You can go online. They have a great social media presence, especially on Instagram. You can check them out on Facebook, but I really suggest you go on Instagram. And it's for private training. You go in there one-on-one, or you go in there with a group of 2 or 3 people and you work out with an individual. It's not like your traditional gyms where you pay a membership, you walk in, or you can either join the classes or work out by yourself. It is not that. It's a little bit more one-on-one. Dave, we spoke about it last year when we were doing the starters before summer. I wanted to work on a little bit of core strength. I wanted to get the driver, and I wanted the ball to get a little bit further. It actually worked. Got the driver to go a little bit further. So whatever you need. So just check them out. EA Fitness on Sampson and Chamonix.
All right. So let's talk Habs for question number 3. The NHL season right around the corner with the first preseason game for the Habs on September 25th versus the Devils at the Bell Center. So going into the season, I want to know what Habs storyline intrigues you most. Simon?
I'm gonna go the Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield. I like it. Looks good. Passes the eye test. I'm not a big proponent of analytics, but I believe in analytics. I'm just more of an eye test guy. And the analytics will tell you that Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki playing together isn't very good. So that's what I want to see going forward. Martin St. Louis, does he go with the easy recipe of putting Cole Caulfield out there or Nick Suzuki and then trying to figure out the other wing spot? Or does he go into the season and break him up and try to maybe balance things out? Maybe put Kirby Dach at center with Cole Caulfield. Maybe he puts Nick Suzuki at wing with at center and Kirby Dach on his wing. So I know that it's nice and we see it on social media and they're really cute together and they hang out together and they're members at Royal. They go to the F1 together and all those things. All great things.
Lasso. You forgot Lasso. They go to Lasso together.
Lasso as well. So that's great. I just want to see what the coach does with the Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. Not as early as game 1, but let's give it a stretch of 10 games. Let's see where the coach decides to play Caulfield and Suzuki going forward.
So, I was thinking about this while you were talking, and that is one of the more intriguing stories. But I think there's something more intriguing that's kind of brewing at the bottom here, and that's how much patience are the fans going to have with this team if they rattle off, 8-9 straight losses, and they regress from the bottom team that they were last year. So I would say to you, the intriguing story is, are the Montreal Canadiens going to be an improved team, or are they going to be a team that regresses? And you know how ugly this market can get, and the patience that we have shown thus far as fans, I think may not be there in January and February if this team is looking like a really perennial bottom feeder. If Suzuki doesn't get his 70 points, Caulfield is 35 goals, we don't see some of these young defensemen start to really become everyday NHL certified, 2-3s. I think there may be a revolt here, and all that goodwill that Gordon and Hughes have had may turn. That's the intrigue.
And the thing is, last year when they were bad, and the Coyotes were bad, and Columbus was bad, and Anaheim was bad, and Chicago was bad, there was a a silver lining, and there was a franchise player, or supposedly a franchise
superstar
player.
Yeah.
We shall see, but highly likely the experts have told us that this kid is going to be special. He's going to be McDavid, he's going to be Crosby. Those are the comparables. So you're right. And so there's a little bit of patience from the fan base with that, because if you're going to suck this year, there is a grand prize at the end of all this. And I apologize. I do not know who the first overall is coming up in the NHL entry drop, but I'll tell you one thing. It's not Sidney Crosby, it's not Connor McDavid, and it's not Connor Bedard, because I knew about those guys 2 years before they were drafted. So whoever's getting drafted next, whenever the draft is in 2024, I'm sure some expert is freaking out listening to this and annoyed that I don't know this. It's not my fault I don't know it. It's not out there. I know who the number 1 pick is going to be in next year's NFL entry draft. He's highly likely it's the kid that's playing quarterback at USC. Why do I know this? Just watch the kid play quarterback at USC. The entire football community is talking about him. The entire hockey community was talking about Connor Bedard. Sidney Crosby was filling up junior rinks all over Quebec. I don't know who the number 1 pick is, and it's not going to be somebody along those lines. And I think you're right, George. I think that's where the patience will be tested from this fan base.
Interesting. How short, how long is the leash, and how far are they willing to go with the rebuild project? That's interesting. All right, let's go to the next 4. Question number 4. We're going to stick with the Habs here. It's brought to you by Fresh MTL. They're located in Gold's Gym in Laval, and their food is healthy and looks just delicious from their Instagram feeds and from what Simon has shown so far. So another Habs question. I want you guys to rate the Hughes-Gordon rebuild out of 10 so far.
I'll go first on this one. So I like virtually every move they've done other than the new hook move. So and that's a wait and see move, right? So because I do want to trash it, I really do. Like the inner Hab fan of me wants to trash this move and be like, how could we give up, a first round pick in such a deep draft and some other assets to get new hook? But we'll have to wait and see. So I'll say thus far a nice 8.5 on the scale, and I think they deserve credit because some of the deals Kent Hughes has been able to make. The Petrie deal is to me, is a masterclass in GMing. How you can trade somebody, receive a better player, and then get that player that you traded back and trade him back for more assets is beyond me. This is I've never seen this before. Like, I've been watching sports for, the better part of 35, 40 years, and I have never seen anything of the sort. This is incredible. Not enough people are talking about the master moves he's done. It's been masterful. However, I go back to what I said before. There's some stuff he's done, Mitchkov, Reinbacher, that we'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of wait and see stuff right now. And, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he hasn't let us down yet. But I remember a time where I was giving Bergevin the benefit of the doubt. And he made some shrewd moves. He made some shrewd trades. Like, he was a master of the trades. He could pretty much sell, ice to an Eskimo. But when it came down, he made some really big mistakes that have set this franchise back at least 5 years. It's going to be interesting to see the ones that we're waiting on now with Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon. Are they going to pan out, or are we going to, kind of have to revisit them and be like, this is kind of Bergevin 2.0? We'll have to wait and see. But for now, an 8.5.
It's funny because when Petrie was first moved, and they gave up Paling as well in the deal. A lot of people were hating on that deal, and then just to flip it back the next year, a year later, what a difference a year makes, and what it was
ridiculous.
You're absolutely right, George. It was absolutely awesome. Sorry, Sam. Go ahead.
Listen, I'm up there. I got an 8.5, 8, sure, whatever. I really enjoying the. They saw something in Mike Matheson, right? There was a point where Mike Matheson was trending in the right direction. He was a good defenseman, and then he got to Pittsburgh, hit a little bit of a lull, and these guys were still able to dissect that and figure out that he can play. And I don't know if he's a legit number one just yet, but he does a lot of things that I like, and especially skate at the NHL level. So I like that move. And you look at the Kirby Dach move was fantastic. I'm buying everything Kirby Dach is selling. I really like this player. He can play wing. He can play center. He can skate. He's got size. And, they traded Romanov for him. And that was an area of strength, right? That's the thing that killed the Drouin deal with, what made the Drouin deal so bad when we look back on it. Sure, I liked it when it first happened, and I was buying everything that, the Drouin, that, the talent and all that. But then when you look at Sergachev, you traded for an area of weakness. There was no depth on that blue line, especially the amateur blue line. Whereas here, he took an asset. He's good. He's an NHL player. That's great. But we're deep on the blue line, and you moved on him, and you got the Kirby Dach. Sean Monahan is a great deal last year. If he pans out and he stays healthy, you probably flip him at the deadline for maybe a second-round pick. And if enough people are desperate enough and he's playing at a decent level, somebody might overpay. Somebody that's, in it to win it, that's sold off their assets and could care less for the upcoming NHL draft. Maybe they part ways with a first-round pick, and you can do it again with him this year. So I really like the moves. Can't give a perfect grade, I just don't do that. Can't give a 0, can't give a 10. But yeah, I'm with George. They're like 8, 8.5 for sure. Absolutely.
All right. And final question, gentlemen. It's brought to you by Aldi Restaurant, the best bring your own wine restaurant in Montreal. It's located in the West Island on 13071 Boulevard going west. Follow them at Resto Vivaldi on Instagram. They are awesome. Let's talk soccer, guys, and more specifically the MLS. According to an article in the Wall Street Journal, Apple TV, which owns the exclusive streaming rights to the MLS, had 37,000 subscribers as of June for their season pass. Then some gentleman by the name of Lionel Messi landed in Miami, and now the number of subscribers, what's at 288,000. So, gentlemen, I want to know, what does the Lionel Messi effect mean for the MLS going forward?
But what's amazing is that people signed up for the package, and it's really just like, for me, there's always a match on here or there. I know the MLS has their package, but TSN will show games that are not Vancouver, Toronto, or Montreal. So I'll watch. I remember before MLS had their with Apple, I would catch a couple of late games out of Seattle or Portland. Those always or LA, really cool affairs. But it's amazing that people are just signing up literally to just watch one team. It's not like, getting the NFL package because you want to watch the 1 o'clock game, you want to watch the 4 o'clock game and stuff like that. Like, people are just buying to tune into one individual. Look, I think it's massive. I don't think we've seen anything like this in North American sport, to have a player of that. Like, we're talking about a Mount Rushmore athlete, and I don't think it's really close. And what does it mean for the league? Well, this is the thing America does very well. America has a lot of money, an incredible amount of wealth, and people who want to dump it into sports, right? You see what's going on south of the border. It seems like it's a very divided country, more so than ever. But the one thing that they are not divided on: Friday night, they watch high school football. Saturday, they watch college. Sunday, they watch the NFL. They'll watch Major League Baseball throughout the week. They'll focus in on the Olympics. America loves their sports. So if you give me mega pockets, large pockets of people with big pockets, tons of money, they have the outlets to do it. New York City, LA, Chicago, Houston, Miami, all cities that are world-class, that any athlete, like, no disrespect to anybody playing outside of Athens in the Greek league, or outside of Porto in the Portuguese league. Like, they're nice cities, I get all that, but we're talking about world-class cities. So they have the world-class cities, they have the abundance of money, they have the ownership, they have the venues. They don't. This is not Montreal, where you have to go to a vote and people complain about building a baseball park for a hockey team. You want to lose an election in the United States? Tell your city, or wherever you want to run for mayor, whatever governor you are, you're not dumping money into a stadium. You're out. You're going to be gone. They're going to throw you out of office. So they have the wealth, they have the facilities, and look at what they did in the English Premier League. The English Premier League is by far and away the best soccer league in the world, and it's not even close. Forget about the talent, but also what happens in the front offices. American owners bought into, Arsenal, Manchester United, a bunch of other teams as well. All of a sudden, the EPL, whose the net worth of these clubs was nice, now Man U wants to sell for $6 billion. American owners got involved and said, okay, this is really a nice sport. It's cool. Oh, look at that. You play on Saturdays and sometimes on Saturdays and Sundays. Why aren't you guys playing on Mondays when you have the sporting landscape to yourself in England? Why aren't you playing matches on Thursday? Why isn't your championship division league or the league right below you? Why aren't they playing more often? And say what you want, as much as they despise the American owners have lined the pockets of the English Premier Leagues. So America knows how to get sports right. This can, will be in my lifetime, in George's lifetime, Dave's lifetime, they will not surpass the English Premier League. Probably will not surpass La Liga or the Bundesliga. But if your leagues like Greece and Portugal and any one of the other smaller, European nations like the Dutch league, you have to be very concerned about what's going on in MLS.
Guys, I think what's incredible is that your answer, I think, was really complete and eloquent, but it was actually understated.
Yeah,
and it was understated because this is the biggest story in sports in the world, not in North America. So I like to always go to numbers, because numbers don't lie, and the numbers are staggering, Simon and Dave. They're virtually insane. In 2024, his team is projected to make an additional $275 million in revenue. It's just unthinkable. Just on Twitter, MLS has gained 1,125% more people subscribing to their Twitter page. Instagram, 517%. Facebook, 2,488%. This is crazy. You don't see this in any sport with any athlete. His effect on North American soccer is something that's never been seen before at any sport. And I believe he's put MLS on the map here, because if you just go with what Dave said about how many eyes were paying to watch soccer on television and how many are doing it now, it's incredible. It's incredible. Apple was ready to lose money on this, and Apple is going to make money on the MLS, which is incredible when you think about it. What Messi has been able to do, Simon, he's able to transcend soccer right now. And everybody wants to see him. There was 20,500 tickets sold in Dallas to go watch a game with Messi. In 13 minutes, sold out. This is unheard of for MLS. Any way you want to look at it, it's staggering. It is impressive. And I think what it is going to do eventually is it's going to legitimize MLS globally. I think it'll allow other stars to come, introduce themselves, and legitimize a lot of these teams. And you know what? A lot of people might say it's going to be weird because you're going to have 4 superpowered teams. But tell me what league in the world doesn't have only 4 superpowered teams and a bunch of other teams?
The leagues that only have like 2 superpowered teams.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's what it is. You go La Liga. You think who's going to win the championship in La Liga? You know, trust me, it's not going to be Mallorca FC. Okay, it's not happening. All right, it's normal. I think that's what we're headed to. We're headed to an MLS, which is going to be top heavy. You're going to have a couple of big teams that are going to be able to get big time players to come over, because they're going to sell them on, look what Messi did. If we bring you, you're going to make a ton load of money. Here's a blank check. And that's what they've done with Messi, basically. So huge story, incredible what's going on. And I'm being honest when I say I think it's being maybe a little bit understated by the media of what's going on with Messi.
Well, no, yeah. Well, listen, with week 1 of the National Football League season kicking off tomorrow, it's still predominantly. It's not even close.
For sure.
Like the National Football League has in that. But look, you know, he brings Busquets, he brings Alba. Why do I mention those guys? Because those guys are like, yeah, okay, it's nice. You know, the flights are a little bit long, believe it or not. A flight from New York to LA, if you're playing European soccer, that's almost unheard of unless you're playing Champions League. But again, I don't think they're flying coach like everybody else. But yeah, you know, it's the demographics of America are trending in that way. I don't know what the numbers are. I'm sure the numbers for football registration are very good, but probably declining just a little bit. Soccer registration, like anywhere else in the world, because it's so affordable, it's growing. Today, 2020, what are we today? September 6th, 10:17 p.m. There's never been a time in history that more people are watching soccer in America today. The only time there'll be more will be tomorrow. And that's the way the sport is trending. Their colleges are better. The American program is sending players all over the world. So it's a big deal. Look, the National Hockey League too has got to realize that, you know, they've always been
I think it's a very possible scenario that we will be talking 5 years from now, and the MLS will have surpassed the NHL. I think this is a very, very possible scenario that is starting, because I don't see a Messi type that can draw people in the NHL, and I just don't see that. The world appeal of Messi, there's nothing like that in the NHL. And you're right, in the far reaches of the world, if we go to Nigeria and I tell them, well, what do you think of Connor McDavid? You know, there's a good chance my friend in Nigeria is not going to know who Connor McDavid is, but I will bet he knows who Lionel Messi is.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a big moment. We'll see what they do with it. Look, I don't think there'll be somebody with this kind of stature to come, but don't forget, you know, Terry Henry came a little bit later. Zlatan came later. Beckham. I mean, now these guys, now maybe we'll get somebody who's really good and has got global appeal. Maybe
But
he's.
I think the big difference, though, Simon, in that, and sorry to cut you off, is that with those guys, really, they were still really good players. But Messi is, you could argue, is at the peak of his powers right now. I mean, he's scoring a goal every game. They've won 11. 11. They haven't lost 11 straight. It's crazy. It's just crazy. The whole story is nuts.
Yeah, massive.
Absolutely. Palma de Mallorca, though, beautiful, beautiful island in Spain. So
Very nice.
Not so good soccer team, huh?
Well, probably not. All right, I like that you came locked and loaded with numbers and already, George. That was a very good performance here on a debut performance on the podcast. Thanks for joining us. Thank you all. Don't forget to subscribe at the Starters 690 on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, wherever you want. We're there. You'll find us. Thanks, boys. That was a lot of fun.
Ciao, boys.
Take care, guys.